And you speak a little bit Hindi as well.
I do, and oddly enough, I didn't speak a word of Hindi when I came to this country, because in the south they speak Tamil and Telugu.
Do you?
But I speak a little Tamil, but it's only through a mutual friend of mine whose friends were coming here and speaking in Hindi all the time to her, that, I just picked it up.
अब आप हिंदी भी बोलते हैं?
अच्छा, हम थोड़ा थोड़ा भी बात करता है.
थोड़ा बात करता है हिंदी में. कैसा? अभी जो we talk a little bit about in Hindi and all. अभी कैसा लगता है इस सारी disease के साथ अभी जिंदगी में? What kind of mental and physical state are you in? Because your life has just been in these kind of circumstances.
It's
where
been surrounded with dialysis as my main prerogative. I had to go dialysis to stay alive.
Have you ever got fed up with it and bored?
There are times. There was a time when I really thought of committing suicide.
Oh God.
Yes, because I got, you see what happened, I see, after my first kidney rejected, I was in a lot of pain and this wound just wouldn't heal. So they put me on a drug called Fortro, which is quite a strong analgesic. It's in that class of pethidine. Not as strong as morphine, but it's a strong opiate drug. And I got hooked on this thing because they were coming in, administering it, say, every 5 to 6 hours. They thought I was in pain, which I was. Anyway, I got hooked on this. I was on about 2 months on it. So I got hooked on it, and eventually I was doing all sorts to obtain this drug, and I did. Admittedly, they went through legal means sometimes, but I got hold of the drug, and I started administering it. And there were times that I used to think, well, I'm going to have this shot, because I was injecting it straight into my blood. Before I went on dialysis, I'd insert some into my blood, straight into the trap, bubble trap. And this went on, and then I went and saw my consultant, and I said, look, I'm depressed, and I'm on this drug. I was quite honest with him. And he said, okay, we're going to let you see a Dr. Makar, an Indian doctor, who specializes in this field and getting people off these
addiction.
I saw him, and he got me off it. He brought the dosage down. Like every week the dose went down from about 10 ampules a week. Eventually it went down to 1 a week. So I thought, damn it, what's 1 a week? I might as well come off it. So I eventually came off it, and I haven't looked back.
Tell us about Princess Anne has also recognized and invited
Princess
you.
Anne, we've got a place in Emsworth, which is like a holiday dialysis place for patients who can't really afford to go abroad. And the hospital, we've got a charitable trust, which I donate 25% from my book.
Okay.
And she came to an open day of ours in Emsworth. We were opening out a new dialysis center at the back. It's a purpose-built 3 or 4 bedroom bed.
Okay, during
unit.
the holidays.
And she came there. Yeah, this was in the summer, in July.
Okay.
This is a few years ago, but 5, 6 years ago. And I so happened to meet her, and I presented her with one of my books. And they sent me a nice acknowledgement from Buckingham Palace.
Okay.
Thanking me for my book and congratulating me on being the world's, well, I was Britain's longest then. But now I'm sure she'd be pleased to know that I'm the world's longest survivor.
Oh, yeah. What would you like to say to the people nowadays, with all your experience and specialities?
Well, all is not lost. All is not lost. When you come onto dialysis, don't think that's the end of the world. Just have this mental attitude, think positively, and everything will work out. Everything will fall in place. Plus the fact one has to keep to somewhat a diet, because you can't really go mad and eat and drink everything. Like potassium is a killer. Okay, you can take a little extra protein. There's side effects with protein, salt. Salt, you start getting edema, blood pressure's raised. But with potassium, there's no warning. And potassium, such things as bananas, plums, grapes, oranges, tomatoes, these are killers. Chocolate, these are killers. They're very high in potassium.
Okay.
And if you ate, say, half a pound of chocolate or 6 tomatoes, you're asking for trouble. And what happens is, potassium builds up, and you may not be in hospital when you have an arrest, because your heart just fibrillates and just stops.
Okay.
That's the end. That's a high potassium. But if you're in hospital, if you're lucky, you might be able to do something. But say if you're at home, that's the end of you.
Okay.
So one has to be very, very careful with potassium. That is a killer. The other things, like I said, is salt and protein. You know, you've got to watch your phosphates. Because phosphates, that means you end up with having bone problems, you know, like pains in your joints and stuff.
Okay.
But the main killer is potassium.
Okay.
And patients all over the world just recognize that potassium is the killer. And just refrain from taking potassium in excess amounts.
Okay.
But all in all, I'd say, if you've got kidney problems, don't worry about it too much.
Okay.
Because I have proved that you can live.
44 years.
Well, it's coming up to that, yes. But and I think with a certain amount of God's grace and luck, because you know, life is not, one can contract anything in this day and age. You can just walk out on the street and get killed.
Yeah.
So you know, so I'm just grateful for all the time I've had, and I think people should learn to appreciate their health and don't, you know, stress it. I look at people who drink in excess, who smoke in excess. I used to be a smoker myself, which I've contracted COPD now, which is a lung disorder. And but I stopped about 6 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I don't regret.
43 years of dialysis, first the world's longest survival on dialysis. Your message in few words to the people all around the globe, and how can they get benefit out of your experience?
Well, I'm not trying to promote my book, but do try and order a book, and it'll give you a little insight as to how I did it. And copies can be obtained from my name at 18 Fallon Avenue, Chiswick, West 4, 5EF, that's London, England. And it's not a very large book, and I've written more or less, most of the terms I've used are layman's terms. So there are very few big words, but one can easily understand it. A layman can understand it. And it'll just give you an insight how, if I could do it, I'm sure you and the rest of the world, people in my condition, I'm sure you'd live quite a comfortable life.
Okay. Brian, thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was an extraordinary interview with Brian Tocher, who is the world's longest survivor on dialysis, 43 years old. 43 years on dialysis, and we have bring that extraordinary interview for the attention of all over the world, the people, those who are suffering from the dialysis, and I think that efforts will provide you an insight and a hope. Do not let yourself defeated by the disease. There are people who have fought and fought successfully, and Brian Tocher is one of the guy who has proved it. Now he is in the Guinness Book of World Record, and he is living. He is defending the life against the disease that many people have lost hope to it. Mujahid Umar ke saath Asif from London with that extraordinary interview with Brian Tocher. Thank you.